Well, the largest percentage of Internet users in the world is in China. China has a population of 1.3 billion. They have 22,500,000 Internet users. 538 million Internet users, which accounts for 22% of all the Internet users in the world. The United States is number 2. We have a population of 313,000. We have 245,000 Internet users at 10.2% of the world. We used to have very different business models. In China, the big backbone networks are owned by 4 stock companies: CTNet, ChinaNet, Cernet, and China Bing. And then all the Internet service providers, there are 3 major network companies that actually deliver the Internet to your door. These are, again, stock companies. You can buy stock in them: China Telecom, China Unicom, and China Mobile. And those companies decided a long time ago, I mean, from the get-go, that they would decide what you could see or what you could reach and how fast you could reach it with your Internet service. Now, up to this point, actually up until the last couple of years, many of their decisions have been political. Increasingly, those decisions are economic. Other corporations buy access and, hey, we want a faster connection. Here in the United States, we had, up until today, we had open Internet, an open access Internet, which means that the Internet served the function of basically water pipes. It did not discriminate based on the water flowing through it, on the content flowing through it. And so therefore companies like Comcast, the largest Internet provider in the United States, could not say, you know, the New York Times spiffed us with an extra $30 million this year, so we're going to deliver them a whole lot faster to you. And we really don't like the politics of, say, for example, lessgovernment.net, and so we're just going to block them. You can't see them. Today, the United States District Court, the United States District Court for the Circuit Court for the District of Columbia ruled that the Chinese system is how it's going to be in the United States, that the big corporations are going to get to decide what you see, when you see it, how fast you see it, and they can decide it based on any criteria they choose. Here with us to defend the Chinese Internet position is Seton Motley, president of Less Government. Of course, you got Less Government, you got more corporations. Hey, Seton, lessgovernment.net is the website. Welcome back.
It's lessgovernment.org, but okay.
Oh, it's .org? I went to lessgovernment.net. That's a
long story. That's not your fault. It's an old ad agency I started, and that website was supposed to be behind the door, and I'm trying to get them to put it back behind the door.
Okay.
It was a beta that got set live.
So lessgovernment.org.
That's not the only thing you got wrong in your introduction, but okay.
Okay. So how does the Chinese system benefit me?
Well, first of all, it has nothing to do with the Chinese system. Your entire paradigm of your introduction is fatally flawed. Let's just stick to the American.
Is it not true that most of the Internet users in China get their information through one of 3 big Internet service providers?
Well, we have.
And is that also not true of the United States?
No, it's not true at all.
No. More than 50% of all people in the United States get their Internet data through 3 companies.
The people you said who access the Internet, like 295,000, is the most absurdly low number of all time. You're not even looking at wireless connections to the Internet with smartphones. I
said 245 million.
You said 1,000.
Oh, okay. Then I misspoke. 245 million, 203,319. That's the latest data. In a country of 313 million. So basically, anybody who's over 5 years old has an Internet connection.
Exactly. And that could be wired, it could be wireless, it could be satellite. There's myriad different ways you can connect. Okay, so why do you want to choose one company over the other and allow the government to crony socialize with the Googles of the world and the Netflix of the world at the expense of grandmas emailing their grandkids? Why do you want to do that?
Well, that would be your model mixed with the Chinese model. That would be the government.
If you cannot charge the big bandwidth users for the amount of bandwidth they use, you have to socialize that cost across the board.
We already had that, Seton. My wife Louise ran over her Internet usage on her phone this week because she forgot to turn her Wi-Fi on, and I just got a notice from AT&T that I'm getting an extra $100 on my bill.
Well, that's because that's because you had...
That has nothing to do with the Supreme Court decision. That has nothing to do with AT&T saying we'll deliver New York Times to you really fast and easily, but we're going to refuse to deliver lessgovernment.org.
If you go into a gas station and fill up an Escalade, do you or do you not pay more than if you go into a gas station and fill up an Escort?
In both cases, they're gasoline.
But yes,
I'm not talking about paying. This has nothing to do with what consumers are paying. This decision today had nothing to do with the price that you and I are going to pay for our Internet service.
Inability to understand basic economics never ceases.
If anything, this might drive down the price of Internet usage because the Internet service providers now have a second revenue stream. They can go to the New York Times and say, give us money to have fast passage through our pipes. And they can go to you and me and say, give us money to have fast passage through our pipes. And maybe we don't have the cash.
All the time, Tom. You can pay FedEx to deliver it next week or tomorrow, and you pay more for tomorrow. Everybody does this, Tom. Why is it so flummoxing to you in the Internet space?
This is not FedEx. We're talking about the Internet. We're talking about a public commons. There is one Internet. There's multiple FedExes.
But there's multiple speeds of Internet, Tom. There's multiple levels of data, Tom.
I understand that, but we're talking about content. We're talking about content.
Tom, you don't understand that, obviously.
No, we're talking about content. You're standing for the Chinese model of the three big companies are allowed to pick and choose which content they deliver fast, which content they deliver slow, or which content they deliver not at all. And why is that to my advantage?
Okay, if FedEx can pay, if you can pay FedEx for next week or next day delivery, are you okay with that?
So you're saying that if Comcast comes to me and says, "Oh, we see that you're using a lot of the New York Times, so you will have to pay us an extra $2." Basically, what Comcast wants to do is they want to turn this into the cable TV model.
Tom?
No, hang on just a second, Seton.
Tom?
They want to turn this into the cable TV model where they say,
"Mind of your brain," but it's not happening here in reality. That's not happening, Tom. Net neutrality.
This is what they argued before the circuit court. Have you read the decision, Seton?
Yeah, I've read large chunks of it. Yes, it just came out today.
Have you seen where in the decision the court walked it back itself? At page 17, they said, our task in reviewing as the reviewing court is not to assess the wisdom of the open Internet order, but rather to determine whether the commission has demonstrated the regulations fall within the scope.
They don't have the authority to do it, Tom.
They basically apologized for their decision.
Well, that's because they're two Democrat appointees that wrote the decision.
Well, the Republican actually agreed with them.
No,
the Republicans.
The last paragraph of the dissent, the guy said what this order does is it allows some companies to get rent-seeking government assistance at the expense of other companies, and the FCC is not authorized to do that.
Government assistance?
Yes.
How?
Google pushed net neutrality for a decade because it saves them billions of dollars a year for all the bandwidth they use.
So you want Comcast to be able to charge Google. Well, how is that going to keep Comcast from charging you?
You understand, Tom? ESPN was negotiating with companies to pay for their bandwidth to be delivered so their customers, their consumers, their readers and viewers wouldn't have to pay. That's a boon for consumers, Tom.
So going to the cable TV model where we say, okay, I want ESPN and I want Google, but I have to pay extra for lessgovernment.org.
Tom,
that's a good thing.
This is why you don't understand how economics works.
Well, okay, I get it that you...
We haven't talked in quite some time. You haven't figured it out in the intro.
Okay.
Basic economics.
Well, I'll study. I'll go back and do a little more study on economics. Seton Motley, his website lessgovernment.org. Seton, thank you for dropping by.
Thank you, sir.
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
I think it's very interesting that we lost the open Internet today. I think it's probably the biggest story. Not probably. I think it's the biggest story of the day. I'm surprised all the networks aren't all over it.